Hi, I'm Mark Cowan, M&L Speedway Photography, and today our little sit down is being done not in my shed, not at a racetrack, but in somebody else's race shed down on the south coast of Victoria. This is a gentleman that I met 50 odd years ago when I had a little race car competing with them, not against them because I couldn't keep up. But this gentleman has led a long life in Speedway, from the early days of an old Pilot right up to what you see behind me now, a vintage sprint car. And he's seen a lot during that time, and we're just going to sit down. Today we'll sit down with a man known as, and totally is, Gentleman Jim Duggan. Okay, Jim Duggan, thank you very much for the time to visit with us. We've been trying to do this for a long time. Finally we're there.
Yeah, it's been a while to catch up, but
It's done.
It's all happening today.
Exactly. Now, for everyone that doesn't know Jim Duggan, where did Jim Duggan come from?
Well, Jim Duggan came from Ballarat district, a place called Clairtown. Born on a farm, mum and dad, and a sister. And my father passed away when I was 15, and other things happened, and I decided to leave town. So my first venture away from home at 16 was picking fruit, Swan Hill. Went as a farmhand to several places, like Sheep Hills, and then on to Donald. Worked there for quite a while. The rest is history. Turned 17, put my age up of course, got my licence, and then saw this job advertised in Winchelsea coal mine, or Wensleydale I think is the correct word, and rang up, got an interview, hitchhiked down, we got a job, hitchhiked home, got me worldly possessions and suitcase, and hitchhiked myself back to the coal mine, which I stayed there for lived in the camp for the next 5 or 6 years, and after that I finished up getting married, lived in Winchelsea, a couple of children born here, and 1963 shifted out of Winchelsea down to Melbourne.
Into the big smoke.
Down to the big smoke. And stayed in the transport industry for the next, 35 years.
Well, that's a good record.
But in the meantime, of course, I got involved in Speedway when I was here in Winchelsea in 1960. Built my first hot rod out of a Ford Pilot, which I bought from a young guy up the street. Drove it home, and started pulling it apart to build a hot rod.
And that was back in the days where you'd flat tow it to the track?
Yeah, 1960 in actual fact. So I've been messing Speedway ever since until, in today's vintage. But decided it's time to quit that.
Time to hang the helmet up.
Yeah, hang the helmet up and sit back and maybe go to a few Speedway meets and...
Sit on the outside of the fence?
Yeah, stop throwing mud at other people.
Well, I've tried the outside of the fence. It's not as nice as they say, but there comes a time. So why, what got you into Speed? What was the interest? Was it just, I saw that, I'm going to give that a shot?
Well, I went to a Speedway meeting, was then in Calcium Park, out of Geelong, of course, and I saw these and I thought I could do that. So I came home and a young guy up the street had one, a 36 sloper. So I went and talked to him and said, he said, I can sell you a car if you want one, and this is how I come to buy this Ford Pilot. I wished I had it today. It's probably worth a lot of money. The time I got to it with a cold chisel and a hammer and cut the headlights and the mudguards off it and broke the glass out the headlights and the mudguards off it and broke the glass out and started a Speedway career.
Added value, but not the same value as if you'd left it whole, but it was probably a whole lot more fun the way you did it.
We can talk about the 34 Fords and 32s I cut up just to get the front end and the back end.
Yeah, well, you and I go back probably 50 years. Back in the early 70s when I was a long-haired hippie-looking kid that was wandering around racetracks, and I had a little race car that I got out with you guys, but you guys came up from the city because you were SDAV at that point, or pre-SDAV, the old A-grade hot rods, and you'd come up to the middle of the state around Shepparton, Rushworth area and elsewhere, and run up against the NEHRA guys.
Yep.
Now, I don't say I was a race car driver, I don't say I had a race car, but I followed a lot of rocks and dust around, and I watched you guys run. I couldn't believe how you did what you did. But you did it for a long time. How many cars do you think you had from the pilot right up to the one you're sitting in front of now?
I can say I had probably 5 or 6. 5 I would have built myself. One I bought from somebody else. Had a trip to the fence at Brooklyn, and it fell apart.
They do that.
So after checking all the wells, and I thought I better build the next one myself, which I did for the next 4, I think 5 maybe.
Yeah. And
before I went into saloon cars.
Yeah, and what saloon car did you get into after that?
Well, my first venture into saloon cars was an SLR 5000, which I bought from someone already finished. Something happened between he and his wife, and he finished up selling the car on the trailer, and which I finished up with. And so that started an era of saloon cars, and went from there to a Monaro, HK Monaro. The choice then was because it had 3 different engines you could use. From there I went to an 81 style Camaro, was the last one I campaigned. Sold it in about 85, 86.
Yeah, so you ran, when was your first race meeting, if again?
Calcium Park.
And what year do you think?
1960.
Yeah, 1960. So you're in 60 to 85?
Well, 1980, yeah, 85, 86, 87.
Yeah.
When I quit.
That's a good stretch.
And had a break, 15 years, I think.
Yeah. And then
someone said to me one day, I'm going to buy a super rod, or a hot rod, would you like to come and have a look at it for me? And I said, yeah, okay. So he said, yeah, I'll buy the car. And on my way home, he said, I've got a deal for you. You do the maintenance and we'll share the drive and I'll pay the costs. Well, that was like giving a glass of alcohol to an ex-alcoholic.
But an ex-alcoholic is like an ex-race car driver. They're one and the same.
I'm wagon and I'm back driving race cars.
Yeah.
And that was in 95, 96 year. And I did that until 2010 when I bought my own car.
Yeah. And what car was that?
This is what is known as Tassie 2.
Oh, okay, this one.
Which
Yep.
we're sitting on right here.
Yeah.
And ran it for the next 16 years. And this is when I've decided, the vintage is catching up with the vintage cars.
The fun was going out of the competition.
Yeah, there's not as much fun in it as it used to be, and the biggest problem is I don't bend like I used to. To get in and out of that is probably built for a car for a guy that's 5'6", and well, I'm 6 feet. It's a bit of difference.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, how do you compare? I've got my own thoughts on it, but how do you compare what's happening in Speedway today to how it was when we were building stuff under a tree in the backyard?
I mean, if I go back to 1960, we had a rule book which we had to follow. Wasn't stringent, and safety wasn't a priority like it is today, which is good. Safety is number one. But I guess the controlling bodies of Speedway or Speedway Australia leaves a lot to be desired.
I can't argue with that.
So, in saying all that, I mean, you can go on and on and on. It's not going to change it.
It's not. So we just have to try and enjoy what we can. I mean, back in the day where...
You have to run with it, what it is.
Yeah. Back in the day, the people as well. I mean, there was, I think, a lot more camaraderie back in the day.
Yeah.
Sharing of information, sharing of bits and pieces, sharing of beers in the shed, a lot of bench racing.
Yep.
We don't seem to have that anymore. It's
camaraderie is something that's fallen away in our lifestyle, full stop. Helping each other and I mean, I remember loaning spare wheels and tyres and bits and pieces to someone just to make sure they got on the track on the Saturday night or the Sunday, wherever you raced. Because it was about having numbers and talking to people. Today, do you get a phone call from fellow racers? No, not likely.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back one race meeting in Rushworth with myself, and you were throwing rocks at me in the first heat, and my engine started making noise, and I couldn't track it down. It didn't sound like a terminal big end problem, so back into the pits. I couldn't get to the car for bodies because everyone's pulling stuff off and having a look at that. I'm just sort of standing there going, okay, well, and we got it going again, and then I didn't finish the day, but then I ended up, that was early in my time as a photographer on the track. So it was from that time on, in the mid-70s, that I started doing my photography stuff. And you and I have kind of done the same sort of thing. I think we've run it to the end.
Yep.
As you said, it's not the same, and which is sad. You know, we try our best, but I think money talks.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, going back into time, we build all our own cars, build our own bits and pieces, source them from wrecks or wreckers, or old cars tipped upside down somewhere in a creek. Where today's cars, same as the one I have here, something happens to it, you go to the speed shop or somewhere to buy a part.
In cubic dollars.
You know, that knocks the cream off it.
Yeah.
As a vintage operator, you know, you get one into the pits, the driver gets in for free, and any mechanics or assistants have to pay $50 to get in. To me, the sad part is you can go to the main gate and get in for $35 or $45. Why is, you know, they give you one free pass and charge you the rest to counteract it?
Yeah, which...
And the vintage division run on their own, they get no prize money, no points, no nothing.
No ton of money.
And that you're penalised.
Yeah, yeah. It's too much reliance on the back gate.
Yep.
The front gate isn't bringing in the money, so they've got to, although a lot of tracks now are getting up there in costs again.
Yeah.
But the back gate money is the problem for me, and that's why a lot of guys, including us, we'd like to get them out there again, but the rules package
becomes cost prohibitive.
Yeah, and the rules package, safety, understandably 100%. But when we're under the same rules package as basically a 410 sprint car for seatbelts and helmets and everything else, we can't afford it every couple of years. A lot of us are on pensions. A lot of us are been around the block a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a sad demise, and I think vintage is going to suffer in the next couple of years, you know, with fuel prices and the cost of everything else.
Yep.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it becomes, you can't afford it, so you've got to stay home, or who wants to buy your car anyway?
Well, that's the other thing too, but I mean, we're going back into the day now where I miss the guys we used to run with. I mean, you go back with the Welshes, and I'll pick a name of anyone was with the SDAV Hot Rods that you used to run with, and all the NHRA guys, the Collisons,
you know, the Brian Pattons and the Kenny Howards, and
yeah,
you know, Ray Welch, of course, and many others that were, yeah, good sports, good company, and good people to run with.
Yeah.
You know, George Palmer was one of them, stalwart back in the SDAV Brooklyn days. You know, we ran every Saturday night, field 10, 15, 20 cars.
Yeah.
That went up and down, but, you know, and the prize money then was good. We ran at Brooklyn Raceway in the late 60s, 70s, $1,000 a night. 2 heats and a final.
Yeah, yeah.
Today, I don't want to say what the prize money is.
They say it goes up exponentially, but that doesn't go up as quick as the price of putting a car on a track does.
That really happens, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember days at Rushworth, or it was probably a state title, I can't remember. We had like 80 hot rods in the pits. We didn't have room for the sedans. They were parked around in the old pits in turns, or our turn 3 and 4.
Yep.
We just don't see it anymore. I mean, 25, 30, 40 cars might turn up total for some race meetings, and that'll be all 4 classes, 5 classes.
Yeah.
You know, they're running 4-car classes sometimes, and that to me is, and paying full prize money.
Yep.
But I mean,
Yeah, back in the early days, you know, it was £3 to win, 2 for second, and £1 for third.
and this is what you brought home. Hanging on the wall here behind me, folks, there's a whole whack of ribbons, and some of them I recognise from my days, and to me that's worth more than
Yeah.
a bucket of money.
Yep.
Because it's something you can
On the stage with you forever.
exactly, yeah.
You know, the money you get, it comes in one hand and out the other.
Yep.
Probably you put it out to add to it when you put it out, but
Yeah.
that's life.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been a fun career. I'll call it a career, but
Yeah, been a great ride. I've enjoyed it.
yeah,
Probably really wouldn't change much. If, the only thing today, I'd need a lot more money to be able to operate.
yeah, and we all had to work
Yeah.
as well. I mean, you had the issue with getting busy but becoming successful in your racing, and I remember you telling me there were times where you send your car up the road with a driver
Yeah.
and fly in
Yep.
to run the race meetings, and that sort of, some of the other drivers are looking at you going, well, he's got all
That
the
was
money.
costly.
Well,
But anyway, it is what it is. And
yep. But, I mean, some of the characters we had back in the days
Oh.
as well. I mean, we had a few up in the country, and you had a few,
few down in the town,
yep, and the Marco family,
Collison brothers and others.
yep,
You know, Keith Perry back in the times.
yep. And I mean, with Keith Perry, the boys are still racing today.
Yep.
I mean, Russell Hovey is still racing today. There's a couple others in SDAV that are still running.
Phil Jenkins.
Yeah, Phil Jenkins is still going, and he's still going hard.
Yep.
And which is great to see, but we're starting to get down now to a different time. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm not sure.
Well, I think the SDAV, if they keep the rules in the right place, the engine rules, and don't allow people to spend bags of money, they'll survive.
Yeah,
But, you know, they're talking about running LS engines, and I think that'll be demise, and I've said this to the people concerned, it'll be the demise of the section if they go down the LS track.
well, to me it mirrors what happened in the 80s when we started to run out of side valve Fords, which was going to happen, and then we started going into small block Chevs and small block Fords and fairly well worked 6 cylinders to keep up with the small blocks, and then the money started to go into it.
Yep.
And it had a lot of guys just turn around and go, no, sell the car, I'm done, I can't afford it. And it seems to me that it's similar now. I mean, they're getting a bit of a run on with the super rods. They seem to be gathering a few numbers.
They're the in thing at the moment.
Yeah. And being that the super rods aren't that much different to the hot rods, just the engine packages, my understanding is the difference.
Yep.
Hopefully the class will keep going. I mean, it's been around for a while.
Well, this year now, in 26, the super rods and the SDAV hot rods have got together on 2 different occasions, 2 different speedways, but ran together.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody was quite happy with. I think the super rods are looking, maybe they're starting to fall short in numbers, and you know, to impress a promoter and get a run, you need 12 or 14 cars.
Yeah.
And I think the joint venture with the SDAV will be successful if they look after it, and the SDAV don't decide to run engines that the super rods are running, so I think it'll destroy that, and I've said that, destroy that section.
Yeah, we've still got 6 cylinders running, 1 6-cylinder at least running with SDAV, and again, we've actually got some guys in vintage that are spending a lot of money on
For what?
demonstration cars. For,
If they've got the money and they want to do that, that's fine, because
Yeah.
there's no prize money, no points, so they can go as quick as they like.
yeah, and they win the same as I do when I come around 3 laps behind them.
2/5 to 5/8.
And I have a lot more fun.
Now, getting back to the side valve days and going to overhead valve, I probably had a fair bit to do with that in the time, because You know, like myself and Russell Hovey, Ray Wells had side valve Fords. We could have run on for the next 10 years with bits that we had accumulated.
Had the Collison brothers the same way. They had a bucket full of them.
So that's fine. You can't run a race meeting with 3 or 4 cars. So to try to bring into other cars or other people into we decided to go to 300 cubic inch engines, which was fitted to 283 and a few others. I know I won a Victorian title with one the first year. We had a meeting prior to that meeting and said this is what I was going to run. And I said, oh yeah, that's fine, you can run that. Well, that was fine until after the race meeting when I probably won it by half a lap. Yeah, and okay, we were under the control of the VSC, or Victorian Speedway Council at that time. Anyway, they upheld it. Yeah, they said you can keep the prize money and the trophy, but you can't run number 1 on your car for 12 months. So I did. But I put it on for I won it the next year and I put it on.
Yeah.
And I won it the next year and the next one.
Yeah.
And I went from 289s to 283s and I ran them because they seem to be more easy to get parts than the Ford ones. Anyway, so I paid the price, I guess, in some ways for changing.
You whether you paid the price, but you followed the rules of the day.
Yeah.
That was all there was to it.
Yeah, but some people get their nose out of joints, of course. And
well, that's Speedway.
yeah, nothing's changed.
No,
and
no.
it probably will not. I mean, you look at sprint cars today are having problems with tyres. People putting compounds in the tyres or compound on the tyres to make them softer after when they get hot. But I think that's all come to an end.
Yeah, I think it had. Well, one is the cost of a tyre now. I mean, we're up over $300 for
Right rear.
a right rear now. Like
$600, $700.
Yeah, and with the 410s, and they're burning a set out every heat just about. And even you guys are gone through them fairly. I've still got tyres that I bought 8 years ago on mine, but that's just the side valve.
They become battery cases, but that tyre there, it's probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
And the rubbers are still as good, soft today as what it was the day it was come out.
Yeah. And these days I think they make them replaceable.
I run it. Had half a dozen race meetings, demonstration meetings.
Demonstration meetings, yeah.
Yeah. Probably turned to, 400 horsepower.
Yeah.
And it's surviving, so, But
the decision's been made?
Got to try and cut costs somewhere.
Yep. So your decision's been made?
Yes, I've decided to hang my helmet up after all those years of enjoyment and all the things that went with it.
So 65 to 2006.
Yeah.
That's 70 odd years, isn't it?
Yeah, looking down the barrel in a few days' time I'll turn 90.
Yep. And you're doing good for the life you've led.
I'm so grateful that I'm still walking and talking.
And that's the main thing. And apparently between the two of us we can do some of that.
Get out of bed each morning and go, Jesus, I know where I was yesterday, I'm not too sure today. It's moved.
Yeah.
But no, it's not really that bad.
No. Well, as long as you've enjoyed what we do with Speedway, I mean, the enjoyment's not going to go away, you'll just be on a different side of the fence.
Yeah, well, I'll let somebody else throw the dirt over the fence and not me. But I'll make sure I stand back far enough that I don't get hit.
Yeah, you stand up in the third row of seats and you can get behind people, or wear a plastic face mask like they do at Warrnambool.
Yep.
So we've done it, and I want to thank you for your time. I enjoyed running with you guys back in the 70s, and running with us now. We haven't had too many race meetings where we've been together. It's only Avalon we've run our sections together, and that's sort of quieting down too, I think. But our sections up north, well, we've still got some cars. South Australia is growing a little bit, but I think that it's cyclical.
Yep.
Will it come back to what it was? I don't think it will. But will it come back to something decent?
You know,
I think so.
We as generation will move on, whichever way that may be, up or down, sideways, and someone else will come along and take up the cudgel. And
Yeah.
I just Speedway all the best that can be, and to you, Mark, for the interview. Greatly appreciated.
No worries, mate.
Of some value down the line.
Yeah, there'll be the stories that we could have this camera running for 3 days and go back through everyone we know, and there'll be a story for all of them, whether it's Peter Collison or Trevor Perry or Russell Hovey. Pick a name, any name. We could run a bunch of bench racing on everybody at some stage in time. So thanks again for giving me 5 minutes and a little bit longer.
I don't charge extra for Saturday afternoon.
Oh, that's good. Either do I, apparently.
Enjoy it.
All right, mate. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll enjoy having a little bit of a get together tomorrow for your numbered birthday.
Thank you.
We'll keep it at that. Thanks, mate.
Enjoy.
Well, I'd like to thank Jim Duggan for sitting down with me today and having a little chat. I totally enjoyed that, and we could go on for hours and hours and hours between the two of us, and all the memories we've got of all the people that have been in and out of Speedway in our time. Now, if anyone's interested in coming along on the journey with M&L Speedway Photography and would like to see more and hear more about the people that have been in and built our sport and still build our sport today, you can get hold of me on the internet, either email, which I'll put on the screen later, email, we're on YouTube, Facebook, we're all over the place, or you can see us at a racetrack nearby somewhere. So once again, thank you to the number one gentleman in Speedway, Jim Duggan.